Does that make sense? I know I may be deviating a little bit. Are you still following?
Yeah, yeah. Because what I have in my head that I've been wanting to ask you is, okay, so let's create like a an example of this for like some of the listeners, right? Because this is very like we're really hitting the edge of like what the human brain can understand and what actually is happening in reality, right? Which is always a fun play. It's always fun to be in that chaos. Let's say I've been really studying the extreme ISO method lately, right? It's been a really fascinating philosophy of pushing modalities, and it was developed by Jay Schroeder. Have you ever talked to Jay? Do you know him at all?
I have never talked to Jay, no, and I'm not sure where his whole beginnings comes from either. But my guess is because he was with the Raiders, right?
Me, I don't know. I haven't looked
You have to
into
look
his.
that up. I think he was with the Raiders, and that's where Marv was. That was the connection I made years back when I came across Jay's stuff because it was so similar to Marv's,
Yeah, yeah.
right? And Adam
Okay,
Archuleta and that whole story. But
okay.
I don't know anybody that's directly connected to it. Like I know you had that guy that was on recently that was very familiar with that.
Yeah,
But
Ivan.
I'm familiar with it, but just not them specifically in general. No personal connections that I know of.
Okay. So Jay implemented this, well, reintroduced this modality type that's been around for like 1,000 years, like especially in Asia. You know, extreme isometric holds done at a very high length and flexion of the limbs, right? One that's really popular right now is the lunge extreme iso, and his philosophy is that you want to push these extreme isos technically in the weakest of the weak angles they can handle for as long as possible to force the nervous system to burn through its energy cycles, right? To go all the way through from aerobic to anaerobic, and the goal is to reach 5 minutes. And when I was kind of studying this idea, and I was even trying to run it through some AI to fully understand this, that apparently this is supposed to help the nervous system get some of these compensators and stabilizers to be reincorporated, into holding strength into the body, right? But it sounds like that philosophy might be contradicting your weak angle philosophy, or maybe there's like a gray in there that you can kind of like explain to me a little bit better. Do you kind of see where I'm going with this?
No, absolutely. And so the first thing that I always come back to is that when this is what I've been learning, because I've been all into all this stuff since the beginning, just like you, and so again, if you're not really recognizing the strong angle, then we do a lot of weird things to try to get a lot of results that the strong angle could be getting you that you're looking for to get in other ways that are less efficient.
Mm,
Doesn't
okay.
mean they're wrong. Doesn't mean they're wrong. They're just
Right.
less efficient in getting you the results that you're looking for, which typically risks overtraining,
Right.
right? And so that's one of our biggest problems. And I always identify overtraining as just doing more than you need to do. Right now, the question is that's not very clearly defined on what it is, right? Type of scenario, and every case is a little different, right? But the idea is let's use leverage to get more with less,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
More
Good return
gain.
on investment.
Exactly right. Think like an investor. That's my rule number four. It's funny. I have these rules with my son. We'll have to talk about them at
Yeah.
some point. But yeah, think like an investor, right? Delay gratification for the long term, right? Type of scenario. So then the other part of it is that we have in the strong angle, we think about aligning your phase, right, and your function with your future. And so basically, those three things, if they connect, you're in the strong angle. And where we usually get screwed up is in the phase part. Function's usually not very good either because we're not doing a good job of assessing function, coming back to entropy and centropy and how do we measure it and that type of stuff. But we forget that there's phases, right? And so sometimes a heavy isometric dose like that can be done in phases where it works really, really well, depending on what you've assessed, depending on what the problem is, depending on what your goal is in that type of scenario, right? But then the question is there maybe a better way to do it? Isometrics generally work because you're seeing a huge amount of muscle recruitment without changing range of motion. And so you
Mm.
see irradiation effects that bleed over anywhere from basically 15 to 30 degrees in the range of motion as well, right?